film sucks. Indie film sucks. It's the Indie Film Sucks podcast. Yeah.
Coming at you from the mean streets of St. Louis, from a basement on South Broadway, the Indie Film Sucks podcast. Indie film still sucks.
Still sucks.
Welcome back, Chris Macke.
Thank you very much.
Out on assignment.
We missed you, man.
I appreciate it. You
Cheers.
guys put together a couple great episodes. I was a little worried about me.
I've got nothing.
We barely made it through.
Barely.
Barely.
I think, Brock, you could have talked about yourself all night.
No, probably.
I was out on assignment. It was a good assignment. So where are we at with Red Knight? That's the big question I want to know.
We already showed it, man.
Yeah.
What?
It's
over.
screened.
We're
was
done.
the premiere?
It was awesome. We had 17 people.
3 more than I thought.
Yeah. No, we are very close.
All right. I didn't see
Very
the email.
close.
You didn't say come home. You didn't say you got to
No.
get back here. We're ready to roll.
So what? Very close. What do you mean? Can you elaborate at all on how close that little bit?
A little bit of audio levels, a little bit of minor editing trims, and credits. That's close.
Sounds like 2 weeks.
About.
Let's hope.
Let's hope.
All right, so everybody don't know, I'm Chris Macke, producer, actor, owner, 88mm Productions.
I'm Chris Grega, writer, director, founder of 88mm Productions.
I'm Brock Roberts. Work with these two assholes.
Sorry.
No, actor, producer. Been working with these two awesome guys for quite a while now. So, Macke, you have been on assignment. So, Grega, what is your suck?
Nice, thank you.
Man,
Yeah, you thought you'd have...
I was hoping to piggyback off you. Wow, we got to change the name of this podcast. It's getting too hard to come up with sucks. No, my suck is uncertainty. And I've had that from day one of filmmaking, and I have it now. It's just that feeling you have in your gut, you just don't know what's going to happen with this stuff. And it never really goes away. I mean, I guess if you reach a certain level, maybe it kind of lessens. But I guess if you reach a certain level of success, then you have to keep chasing success. So you still have that uncertainty. So even with, what is it, Mission Impossible 5? Or is it 7? Whatever, Dead Reckoning?
Oh, yeah.
That didn't do as well as was anticipated. I'm sure those people are very unhappy.
All right, Brock, what's your suck?
My suck is you're going to go before me.
Oh, am I? All right. I don't know. I was thinking about, in my travels, about the best laid plans don't necessarily always work out the way you anticipated, so you always have to be able to edit or readjust on the fly, and that's independent film. It's not necessarily a suck, it's just something that you always have to be ready for. So you make the best of what you have and just accept that it was the best that you did and what you could do with the circumstances you were surrounded. So it's not really a suck, it's just kind of a thought process that if you can get past that and go, this is the best we could do with what we had. Yeah, would we have done better if we had more? Sure, everybody would have. So now as we finish up Red Knight, extremely satisfied with it, but now we're fine-tuning it. I don't want to see it, but it's where it's at.
Yeah.
And we got to accept that and move on to the next part of the plan. That's kind of, it's not really a suck, but it's kind of a feeling, I guess. I don't know.
I don't understand.
I don't know. Just talking, man.
What's your suck, Brock?
Just talking, Brock.
Honestly, I don't have a suck. The suck is, you said it just a second ago, is it's hard to come up with sucks every week because I hate to rehash all the same shit we've already said.
Yeah.
And I don't want to come up with some bullshit just to say I have a suck because, I really don't have a suck today with independent film. To be honest, life's pretty good for me. I've been working my ass off. Things are going well. That building I talked about a couple weeks ago, I finally getting ready to move into that. And
Nice.
I really don't have a suck, man. I'm just happy that Red Knight is this close. And Mackie's back. I'm just I have no suck, man. Things are good. Yeah, there'll be some other sucks for sure. No
As
doubt
we get
about
into
it.
distribution,
Right.
Absolutely.
Well, it's like I've mentioned before on this show and in life in general, it's the motto of the Peace Corps, or used to be, the toughest job you'll ever love, right? Indie film is obviously, it's not studio film. You're independent. You have limited resources. A lot of it you have to fall upon your own resources. And a lot of it sucks because it's not fun. And people get into filmmaking because they think it's going to be fun and cool and easy. And it turns out to be mostly none of those things. Turns out to be mostly a lot of hard work. And you have to really love doing this hard work to get a benefit from it.
Yeah, you really got to have the big picture, the light at the end of the tunnel in your mind before you even set out on that journey. Because if you lose that focus, you're not going to fucking make it.
No.
It is a hard row to hoe.
No, and understanding every single step that goes into it, that there's the beginning and the end, and there's all these things that go into it, and understanding each one of those and saying, hey, yeah, there's 29 steps and we're on step 28. Got to get step 29, because if you release it at step 28, you're not going to have the same movie.
Nope. So speaking of releases and movies, there's a couple movies coming out that are premiering locally in St. Louis.
Yes, there are. We're
that
happy.
we had the directors on this show. First up, I think Nathan Karimi, his film Oscar Tango Hellwater is going to be premiering on October 14th, 13th, and 14th
Yes.
at the main branch of the St. Louis Public Library, which is an awesome screening venue. We had a screening there for Sound of Nothing many years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And then Wyatt Weed's film, The Dark at the Top of the Stairs, is going to be premiering, I think, October 21st.
Yeah,
October
That's what I was gonna
21st
say, yeah.
at the High Point Theater, which is an older movie house venue.
Redone. I mean, looks nice.
Yeah,
Doesn't
it
Cinema
does.
St. Louis own it now?
Cinema St. Louis owns that.
Yeah.
That's going to be their premiere. And that's going to be another good night.
It will be. It'll be fun. Nice to see everybody.
Local screening, again, I've said before, what do you get out of it? Ultimately, I don't know if you get anything out of it.
Well, I know what I get out of it.
What's that?
Man, I love when everybody that knows me shows up and you get to see that they support you. And then they're really actually interested in your what you do for a living, what your dream is about. I love being able to give them something to see that I'm passionate about.
No, I think that's a great point, Brock, and I think it's individual for every filmmaker. And Chris, you've done a lot of showcases, premieres, if you want to call them.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a different name, screenings, if you want to say that. So I think each person has their individual, understanding of what they're trying to get out of that. I'm excited about when we can set Red Night screening, because I've never been involved on a producer side where we had a screening.
We got to do a few, and it's fantastic.
Yeah. Well,
You're king for a night, like Chris Gregg was alluding to. It's you're not sure what you get out of it, but that one night, it's got its payoffs.
So since I haven't been through one, I've only been to them, and I only got to see you guys for a few minutes because you're busy talking to everybody. Especially when you're in it, it's kind of fun to watch yourself on screen. I know you said you don't like that, Brock. I do enjoy that for myself. So talk about, because here's some veterans going through this again, right? Nathan, Wyatt are going to be doing another screening for another movie they've done. You guys have both done them.
Yep.
So what's your expectation before, and what was the reality of it, right?
I'll say this. For my mind, the importance of the local screening, which is effectively the cast and crew, friends and family screening. The importance of that is so many films never get finished. And the people who work so hard on them never get to see them. And it's always been a point of pride with the things that 88mm has done. So we've always finished what we started, and we always do a screening for the people involved. Because every person I know who has worked in independent film has a story of, I worked on this thing and I don't know, never saw it, don't know what happened to it, never got finished.
I've got those.
And that sucks. That's a suck.
Yeah.
Not being able to see what you put months or sometimes years into and then never seeing what it turned into. For me, it is important to thank everyone and give them the ability to see, hey, here's what you guys helped make. That's awesome.
Here's the final product, like the widget.
Yeah, exactly. And in a theater. It's a cool, fun experience. your question is what's the expectation before?
For you, because you've done many of them, right? So obviously, amphetamine, it was a different feeling than now, because now it's probably, it is more for the cast and crew, because I know we have a purpose as a company to say, what are we getting out of it from a standpoint of how can we use it to make our movie whatever it needs to be. So what was your feeling for amphetamine? Because obviously it was a way different feeling than it is now. Brock, you were involved in a few. That's kind of my question.
Well, the first big screening, because I did shorts before amphetamine, and we did screenings for all those. And that was all like, hey, who can we get to show up to this thing? We do a big flyer campaign, which is a big waste of time and money, let me tell you. For amphetamine, we were going to do our own thing. Because amphetamine was a big local film when local films were not really being made, 20 years ago. And we were going to do our own screening. We were looking for a place to do it. Wanted to do it in a theater because we'd always done it in like coffee shops and like art galleries. We never actually did a screening in a theater before. And then I got approached by Chris Clark from Cinema St. Louis. Said, hey, we'd like to make this the final closeout film of the showcase. Like, well, okay, what's it going to cost us? Well, nothing. Just we want to
showcase your movie.
So we're like, well, okay, cool. Save a few bucks. And that turned out to be an incredible night. It was, as I've mentioned many times before, we had around 800 people. We had it was too big for the Tivoli. They moved it to the pageant. And what I expect out of that was someone in the crowd of hundreds of people is going to see it, and it's going to move us up to the next level, and then we're going to get in other festivals, then someone's going to pick it up for distribution, then I'll be making films full time. That's what that level of inexperience brought me. Now, where I'm at, 20-something years later, now my thought is, man, I hope we at least have close to a sold-out theater. I hope we have at least 150 people.
Okay, so if you put percentages on it, it was how much for you, and because you're always thinking about the cast and crew, but early days you're probably thinking about Chris Grega.
It was still a mix because I had done other stuff before.
Okay. But now it's probably more cast, 90% cast and crew, 10% Chris Grega because you've been through it.
Yeah, for this screening, I've seen it. I've seen the movie many times, so I want to see it with an audience and see what they think of it.
But you, Brock, because I know you've done a lot as actor, but you've been producer on a few.
Yeah, actually, I think amphetamine was my first time I went to a big premiere, and obviously we didn't know none of us knew how big it was going to be.
No,
we thought it was going to be family and friends, but it seemed like the whole damn town was there. So that was pretty amazing. The problem with having that great big success, and you think, like Greg had just mentioned, this is the stepping stone to get me to the big whatever, and it just quite wasn't that. But then you have your other premieres. Like Rhineland was a pretty goddamn big premiere too.
It was.
But you were a producer on that.
Kinda. Associate producer. So I mean, I didn't set up anything. It premiered at St. Louis
at the Filmmaker Showcase, 2007.
Mm-hmm. I had 30 people there just from me, my family.
So did I.
Yeah. So it sold out. Local experiences have been pretty fucking good as far as premieres go.
The screenings have been great. The local critics have not been fans of me or 88mm. We've garnered very few awards at home.
But we still seem to do really well locally. Everybody wants to see an 88mm film.
What 88mm is doing and coming through. So talk about your experience as an actor, because obviously you're bringing everybody to see you. Producer, different, because right now I'm with Chris on this film, on Red Nighted Skies. Mm-hmm. I want to see what everybody else thinks about the product that we put our heart, soul, money, everything into. It's yes, the first clue would be who shows up, right? Because that's important.
Yeah.
Because we're doing it for them. Second thing is what do they really think while the movie's going on? Because we talked about this in the past. That's a suck. Is grandma's going to come out and go, oh, you were so good. Yeah. Oh, what a great. Or mom and dad or whoever. Right, you really need those critics or those people you can trust.
For Red Night, the premiere, I just want there to be a lot of people to have a good time and enjoy the movie. It's not about me acting on the screen. I want everybody to like our movie. That's it. And I know, from what I know, what Grega says about the cuts he had seen, people are going to like it.
Yeah.
And I'll worry about the acting part of myself later. I can't control that
Can't change it.
No, it is whatever it is.
Yep.
People, and not just my acting, but acting across the board.
Not the movie as a whole.
Yeah, I just want everybody to enjoy the fucking movie.
So you're looking at it from a producer eyes, if we just use terms from the industry? Are you looking at it from a producer's eyes, or are you looking at it as Brock Roberts, or how do you look at it? And Greg, same question to you.
Well, I think of it in those two ways: is the producer locally, and then if I can feel the vibe of what the audience really feels, that's going to get my producer side going on a larger scale. Now I know what to expect from other people.
Well, let me put it this way. It's kind of like boxing. If the match takes place in someone's hometown, then the opponent in that situation really has to land a knockout blow in order to win. You're not going to win on points.
Very good. You're right.
And this film, screening locally, it's going to be a knockout film.
Of course.
I think it has enough strength to do that in other cities, in other venues, in other screenings.
So that's where you might get into your festivals to do other screenings and a whole nother dynamic that we'll talk about later.
Like, I feel, essentially, if it's friends and family, certainly family, you could make a real terrible movie and they're still going to like it.
My kids are fucking brutal. They'd tell me for sure.
I mean, especially in a movie theater
So
situation, because you're like, I never thought I would see you on the big screen in a theater with the seats, because you got the benefit of the atmosphere.
Yeah, and I've been to lots of showcases and seen like some shitty short films, and then you hear people walking out, oh, that was so good, that was my grandson's film, that was, of course, because it's biased. So I think, people are going to go into the screening, and I know there are two things we're going to hear afterwards, and I heard it at every screening. Number one,
that's a real movie.
Well, that's a real movie. And number two is, that was so much better than I thought it was going to be. That's what people think. That's just how it is. People think independent film, it's not a Hollywood film, it's not a real movie, so it's not going to be that good.
Yeah, I mean, are you thinking that going into the screening?
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's how...
Yeah, that's what people are going to say. We're going to get a lot of that the night that we screen it, and that's cool. People don't realize that's not really a compliment.
I probably won't hear that from my group. That it looks like a real movie anymore.
Well, they've seen you in enough stuff, and some people we're inviting are going to be the same way. They've seen enough of our stuff that they're not going to say that. But you are going to have that certain percentage, and I think it's funny that you say that, because I think the percentage is going down.
It ought to after 20-something years of doing this.
You would hope.
Yeah.
We should have a checkbox when you come out. Did it look like a real movie? Check.
Yeah.
Maybe we should do a little questionnaire thing. What could we do to improve? What?
No. You don't want that, because you got everybody and their brother.
I'm kidding, man.
Yeah.
I'm not
You
happy.
got everybody and their brother that thinks they can be a director or an actor or a producer. It's like, you try it.
Anyway, local screening is going to be great. It's going to be a great experience. The only thing I'm worried about is, are we going to have enough of a turnout? Because
And I'm not.
No,
I'm not worried about that at all.
Me either.
And I get it. I got a lot of people at my church. I got a lot of people just are still vested in this movie about when it's coming out. And I think that's working in our advantage, to tell you the truth.
I mean,
because the mystique and the carrot or whatever we're dangling in front of people, and because we want this movie to be right, and we're not putting something out until it is the way we want it to be, is, I think, giving us momentum at this point.
Well, yeah. But the point is, this film, for the local screening, it's a home run, it's a slam dunk.
You're the optimist.
It's a knockout.
You are the optimist.
It is.
Is he really?
No.
I'm telling you, it's going to be...
But when there's 500 people there, he's going to be like, I told you it'd be 500 people there.
No, I'll never say that. Like I said, I'm
There just might be.
there could be. I'm guessing 150, but you never know.
That's another point. Okay, go ahead. Finish your thought. I'm sorry.
What I am more curious about, what I'm really curious about, because I know the film is damn good. It's our best work to date, head and shoulders above everything else, and we've made some good movies. I know this. I know the local audience is going to love it. Anyone listening to this podcast, hey, get to St. Louis to see the local screening. However, what I really want to see is a reaction outside of St. Louis.
No, I agree with you there, and that's only going to take time to get it out there and do what we can do and use the resources we put into the movie, like a Mosley or the conventions, different avenues that we have to do that we're not used to doing. I think that'll happen, and I agree with you. I'm willing to see that too. But you mentioned like it may not have enough people. So how do you plan for that when you're doing a screening though? So what kind of venue do you get? How do you plan that? Like what's Wyatt thinking right now? Is he done enough? He kind of has the judge down and come who comes, and they'll give me another day if it's sold out tonight.
Maybe.
Yeah, I just those are just interesting thoughts that go through my head as far as like how do you plan that? Because you're saying, man, I hope people, and I know you're being humble,
because
serious in a sense.
Because
but
I've done it. I mean, we've had some incredible screenings, and we've had some less than incredible screenings. And I don't know where this is going to fall. And because let's put it this way, when we screened Amphetamine, that was a rare thing. An independent film shot in St. Louis with entirely St. Louis people. Nobody did that.
Yeah, but you didn't have anything else though. You didn't have VOD.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It was rare. There was nothing to compete with it. Now we've got all this other competition.
And most of our friends have kids now, getting babysitters.
Yeah.
I mean, just coming out for a night is expensive.
It is.
Yeah, there's a lot of competing factors of why. And hey, we talked about this on the podcast too. Like, go see people's stuff, right? Remember when we talked about that and saying a lot of people were just like, well, where can I find it? Well, I had 2 screenings. It's out here. It's here. And yes, go see it.
That's the other thing. I am very excited to see Wyatt's film. I'm very excited to see Nathan's film. Mm-hmm. I want to see other people's film. I want to see their work. I want to go and support them just as much as I want them to support us.
Yeah, not only just support. I want to see how they stepped up.
Yeah.
And push us to another level. Because I look, other filmmakers are a competition, but they're still our friends. Yeah. We want them to do really fucking good. But obviously, I want us to do really goddamn good too.
And I think there's room for all of us to succeed.
There's definitely room for everybody to do good.
Yeah.
There's definitely room for everybody to do good.
Yeah, I just think it's interesting from your perspective of the, like, I'll call it the arc again, but the arc of Amphetamine to this one and everything in between, you've pretty much seen it all.
Yeah.
From a St. Louis perspective. So you have gone outside of St. Louis. Can I touch on that a little bit?
Sure.
Oh, God.
Oh, God.
You're
giving me confidence with Red Knight, right?
It's pluses and minuses.
Okay, so...
Well, here's the thing. Before we go into that, there are some things you cannot control. And that is how your film is screened. If they get the projection right, if they get the aspect ratio right, if they get the sound right. Because there are so many things. You give them a file and... trust them not to fuck it up. And we've been there where they fucked it up.
Yes. Multiple times.
Yeah.
So you get out of St. Louis, you're like, screened well in St. Louis, but my big thing is I got to get it out. Get accepted by a festival. Mm-hmm. You travel there, the cost, everything you do to go there.
Yeah.
And then take it from there.
Yeah, and then you have a screening where the sound is out of sync with the picture. And you're just sitting in the back, just hating life.
And what that means to people who don't know, when your sound is out of sync, that means your lips are moving, but the sound is not matching your lips.
Yeah, it's like a second off. And then the other shitty thing, as we've touched on this, is everyone is there for the big local screening, then your film screens and everyone splits. And you have like 5 people who see your movie.
Because it's out of town movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no hype behind it. And that's the business side of it, right?
That is.
Yeah. So you got to weigh that out too, just because you didn't do well there, technical advances aside. How does that, I mean, does that mean your movie shot, or is that, does that screening lead you to more benefits financially if it goes well? Could it? Is that a make or break deal?
For small festivals, not really.
Okay.
I mean, the only benefit you get out of the small festivals, or I don't want to say small festivals, the only benefit you get outside of the big festivals is maybe if you win some awards.
Okay.
You win some awards. I don't mean you just put the laurels, official selection of Podunk City Film Festival, but winner, Podunk City Film Festival, best cinematography, best acting, best editing, whatever, best screenplay. That's what you want out of the smaller festivals. If you gain anything from them at all, it's wins.
Okay. Putting eyes on it because of the wins. The wins get you possibly more eyes.
Yeah. And for us, we have an action horror film. We're just going to go the horror film festival route, and then ideally the horror convention route. It's just to get more eyes on the film. I think we have all the makings of a cult classic film.
Yeah, look for us in booth
damn. That's a
234.
statement.
What did he say?
Repeat that, Greg.
I said, I think we have all the makings of a cult classic film.
Wow. All right.
Okay.
That's a big statement.
Of course.
That's a lot to live up to, motherfucker. Why are you putting us on that goddamn
Well,
shelf?
of course, most cult classic films were bombs initially, so
Right, so if I live to 70, I can maybe make a dime off of this?
maybe.
Pretty much what you're saying for the idea of how we're going to push this film is we're going to do some festivals. We're going to be talking with distributors throughout that process. And we probably will go to some cons after it's actually out.
Yeah.
Is that how we're going? Okay.
Yes.
So
Hopefully to leverage activity that's already happened at the con, I would think. I mean,
Yeah.
that's because we didn't consider that when we first started this movie.
Well, no, that was always in the back of my mind.
Same.
With Mosley.
Oh, Mosley, yes.
Since
I
we
agree
have,
with you there.
we have. That's why we got Bill in the film in the first
Yeah,
place,
no.
for that convention leverage.
Yeah.
And Bill's the kind of guy that if he believes in a project, he'll push it.
and turns out he's a damn good actor.
He is. Well, we knew that ahead of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got some bands too. Check out Corn Bugs.
Yeah.
If you want to know some Bill
Actor,
Mosley.
musician, and all around good dude.
Yeah, we should probably pump him up more because he's an amazing person.
I think once we can, we will, because I don't want people to get too excited. We don't have anything to give them.
No.
So I'm thinking once this thing goes,
Yeah.
you're going to hear a lot about Bill Mosley. I hope to get him on here.
Sure.
I really do.
I bet we
I
can.
don't know how we're going to do that in the basement of Broadway.
We may be going from a basement from Los Angeles.
Whoa! Wow! Look at you, buddy. Yeah.
And we are very, very close to releasing a trailer as well.
Okay.
Oh, damn. Are we?
Yeah. So just circling back to like screenings and that kind of stuff. So definitely necessary.
Yes.
Whether you're trying to promote something or you're trying to just do it for friends and family, there's always a need for it.
I mean, you have to have an overall plan, right? And we have a couple of overall plans, I guess. I guess you can say that. A couple of routes we're going to take. One is, of course, the standard distribution route. And I think we've discussed before that none of us feel very confident in that because the game has changed so much, and that was always a tough game to begin with. So there's that route, and then there's sort of the do-it-yourself, grassroots, filmtrepreneur route where we do it all of ourselves.
Right.
And I would say right now, in my mind, we're like 70-30 doing it ourselves. But we're going to investigate all the other paths because why not? It's not going to hurt us to take it to various distributors and say, what do you think? Make us an offer. Because we don't have to take the offer.
While we send it off to other festivals to try to get outside of St. Louis, to get away from that friends and family kind
Yes.
of atmosphere and see what the reaction is outside of that. Because you can take that to cons, you can take that reaction other places, use Bill Mosley's kind of following to drive that.
I mean, that's why you put the names in the films.
That's
because a low budget film, you have to have a handful of things to lure people in, and one of them has to be a recognizable name, and his name is recognizable in the horror genre, and fans of the horror genre love his work.
Yeah, Bill's a stand-up dude, man. I like him. He's great in the movie, and he's just an all-around good dude.
No, yeah, I agree with you 100%. So to wrap this up, I think, getting back to like talking about Wyatt and all these releases, this is the time people are putting movies out, especially horror movies, because Halloween. So let's give them another plug. What Wyatt?
Dark at the Top of the Stairs, Wyatt Weed, Pirate Pictures, that is coming out October 21st. And then before that, the week before that, is Nathan Karimi's Oscar Tango Hellwater, which is coming out, I think, the 13th and 14th of October.
Check him out, support him.
Yeah, tell them you heard about it here and ask them why they're doing their screenings. What they're hoping to get out of it.
Ask them what their suck is.
Yeah, ask them what their suck is. Yeah, what's your suck?
Yeah, and go see their movies because they both look awesome.
No, make it a big deal. If you want to come out and see that, I think that's a great thing for St. Louis. That's a great thing for local filmmakers. So
Yeah, so we'll be talking about that. We'll
What else
also
are we
be talking
talking
about.
Oh, well, of course, we'll be talking about what we always talk about, which are the highs, the lows, the in-betweens. True independent filmmaking.
True.
On the Indie Film Sucks podcast. Brought to you by 88mm Productions. On all the social stuff that we have, whatever, Facebook, Instagram, your mom, whatever.
peace.
See ya.
Start the music.
Scotch.
Indie film sucks. Indie film sucks. It's the indie film sucks